Well, welcome to Hamilton County basketball coaches. Yes, basketball. Just last week I was at Carmel on Friday broadcasting a football game, but we're right here, right around the corner. Basketball is ready to start in Indiana on the girls' side. So today I got with me the head basketball coach at Hamilton Heights, Keegan Cherry. Welcome, Keegan.
Thank you, Perry. It's a great day, and the unique thing is I was able to vote for your wife earlier today.
Well,
and
I get
to be interviewing with you today. So.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I know she does too. Well, Coach, let's talk a little bit about, you had a scrimmage against Carmel. That was very interesting to get to have the Greyhounds come here and play at Hamilton Heights and give you a little bit of a feel on what you're going to have this year.
It was great. I'm very thankful for Carmel to come over and scrimmage with us. I mean, they could go anywhere they want and scrimmage.
Sure.
But to have that caliber of program and for them to come over and play was fantastic. I mean, we can't simulate the things they do, their length, their quickness, strength. We can't simulate that here in practice, and to be able to get up and down with them in that scrimmage and work on a few things, hopefully prepares us for Brownsburg, for Danville, for Noblesville, that early part of our schedule.
Yeah, and playing Fishers and everything. So you're going to see some of that. Good competition there. And the one thing about it is I thought it was a great matchup because you would have to look quite a ways to find somebody with the caliber of the Carmel guard Gill, because Gill, she's a hard-nosed defensive player, and it was a good challenge for Bailey.
It definitely was. I mean, she's really aggressive on the ball, great defender, really strong. So, yeah, it was definitely great for Bailey to see that.
Yeah, she plays much like her dad did it with the Pacers, Eddie Gill. And then her brother last year played for Carmel on the boys' side, same way. Just that great defensive presence and really get after it. And it's good for a person with the caliber of a Bailey runner to be able to face that in a scrimmage. Well, let's talk a little bit about the girls. And I've already mentioned Bailey, and of course she was the second leading scorer last year behind Caitlin Curley, and which is a 1,000-point scorer at Hamilton Heights. And the way Bailey's going, I'm sure that she'll probably reach that plateau also. I don't know where she is on numbers, but she just looked real comfortable out there on the floor.
I mean, Bailey's been in all the battles for the last 2 years. She's been in the trenches with us, and she's been able to play with those three seniors that we had last year and her sister the year before, Ashton. The one thing that concerns me at this point in the season, Perry, now I know it's early, but last year every time we were together we talked about Anna Collar. We talked about Kayla, and we talked about Lexi, and even Ashton, her senior year 2 years ago. There was somebody that could provide that toughness, somebody that could make the tough plays, somebody that was a leader on the floor and in the locker room. Right now, we're struggling to find that identity, and if we don't, it's gonna be a long year, and we're definitely going to struggle the first part of this season.
Absolutely, because you sent me some of the changes you made to your schedule this year, and you've kind of upgraded it even more. You're not afraid. Well, you know that the better the competition, the better team you're going to be, because you don't become a great team by playing below average teams. So I think you added Norwell and Newcastle and Fishers this season, along with that strong schedule you already had. Newcastle being a good add because they're in your sectional. So that really kind of helps, because the one thing about it in 3A basketball, a lot of those people that are in your sectional you really don't see during the season. Where in 4A, take the Noblesville and the Southeasterns and the Fishers and the Carmels, they see a lot of those teams. They're playing each other. So that's a great move. To play Newcastle.
I had a good friend of mine call me, and he saw our schedule, and he said, Coach, what are you trying to do? Schedule yourself out of a job? But again, it's going into our third season here, Perry, and if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You got to play the best, and that's what we want to do. That's the mindset that we have, regardless if it's 1A, 2A, 3A, or 4A. We want to play the best. We want to have an opportunity to compete, and in playing those teams, I think that best prepares us for February. I could care less if we win 5 ball games, 2 ball games, if we win any ball games. Now, we want to win every time we go out there, but my number one thing is to this program is I want to have us playing our best basketball come tournament time. It's all about February. It's all about that tournament and those teams like Fishers, like Noblesville, like Carmel in the scrimmage, Brownsburg, Danville. The list goes on and on. Those teams are going to get us ready for tournament.
Absolutely, because opening up with Brownsburg tomorrow night, okay, and then Danville, and then coming to Noblesville, and then playing Guerin Catholic. It doesn't get any easier, and then you're going to that Fort Wayne Snyder Classic. So it's just a lot of good basketball teams with a lot of different looks.
Yeah,
but like you said, people don't realize how important that leader was, that leaders are on a team.
Right.
And somebody has to step up, and but let's talk a little bit about some of the other players, because I thought Descent looked good. I thought Wiley looked good. Those are both players that had limited time last year playing.
Yeah, well, Lauren Wiley was a starter for us. She's been in the battles, but her role was sort of different.
Much different.
Yeah. With Kayla and Anna and Lexi, and a lot of times things didn't necessarily funnel through her, but her role this year, as our senior captain, her role this year for us is going to have to be much greater than it has been the past 2 seasons. Another senior along with her is Abby Christensen, who's back out. Maybe the most athletic girl that we have in the program. I thought she did really well in the scrimmage, considering the limited amount of reps that she's had in practice. She didn't play at all last year. So I'm expecting and hoping for good things from her. And then that junior class, of course, is Bailey. Coach Runner, I call her. She's been around so long. Yeah. She kind of understands what we want. And then Peyton Dissett is expected to contribute significantly. The sophomore class, Jillian Oswald, and then we have a freshman, Michaela Moran, who's going to give us some size. Something we haven't had really since Taylor Boyd, but couldn't really utilize Taylor because of her injuries. But
sure.
6'2" and still growing, so shows tremendous promise, and we're expecting big things from her. But she is a freshman, so it's going to be a process, and there will be some growing pains, but we're definitely going to need her.
Absolutely. Now, some of the things that coming up this season, you were talking about getting better every game, and working on those things and improving as you go, and those are all important things that you've got to do, just like you said, because really your record doesn't really matter come sectional time, and when you win a sectional, it sure doesn't matter when you go to the regional, right. And it's a different mindset.
Right. It really is, and it's sort of a double-edged sword too on that, Perry. It's when you can get collectively a group of girls and a gym full that are completely bought in to what you're doing, to what we're doing, completely bought in of being some part of something bigger than themselves, bought in on doing things that nobody thinks you can do. Nobody thinks we're going to beat Brownsburg. Nobody thinks we can beat Danville. Nobody thinks we're going to beat Noblesville, let alone when it comes to Fishers, Northwestern, all these other teams. Nobody thinks that we can win, and that's fine. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but we're going to compete and get better and prepare for tournament. But when you're trying to get a collective group to buy in to that philosophy, it's not for everyone.
Right.
It's not easy. It's not easy to come into this gym every single day and practice and compete and get after it. Not only to do what it takes to be competitive, but to do what it takes to win. And those are two different things. It's one thing to play and compete, and it's another thing to play and win. And to do the things that it takes to win is what we're striving for.
Now, with the little bit of lack of size and things like that this season, you'll probably be getting up and down the floor because, Bailey likes to push that ball up the floor. So.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I don't, I'm not, I guess I'm a coach that likes to adapt to his teams and his strengths.
And the game.
And the game, yeah. And from really, it's game to game. Each opponent will scheme and game plan, prepare for each game individually. But I don't like to get necessarily set in my ways. But we are, I guess, limited a little bit from the standpoint of, our numbers. So I would love to get out and press for 32 minutes or whatever, but when I'm playing 6 or 7 girls and I don't have the personnel necessarily to do that, then that makes it challenging.
Yeah. One of the things going back to that scrimmage with Carmel and the controlled scrimmage that you had with them, is that set by the Indiana High School Athletic Association on how you can do that? I thought that was kind of interesting to be able to have a team like Carmel put on a full court press against you, because Carmel does that very well.
They do.
They get after it and they do it very, very well.
Yeah, they played some 1-3-1, which I thought was a really good defense for them with their length and quickness. That full court press was good for them. But yeah, there are 2 formats, 2 options that the coaches will agree on. You can do one is a 4-quarter controlled type scrimmage. The other is a 5-quarter controlled scrimmage where you get to play a JV quarter, and that's what we opted for on Saturday, and I thought it turned out well.
Okay, well, the one thing about it, I was telling you before we went on the air here that we'll be doing 5 Hamiltonites girls basketball game this season, and one of them will be on the road, the first game against Noblesville on November 9th. So you'll be going there in a pretty experienced team, so it'll give you some different looks and you kind of know what you're going to expect from Noblesville. So
yeah, and not only will we be playing great teams to start. Debbie's going to come over here tomorrow. Fantastic coach. She's going to have her girls ready to play. Katie at Danville is going to come in on Saturday. Fantastic coach. They're going to be ready, and then Coach Buckley at Noblesville. Has won a ton of games. So not only is it going to be a huge challenge for our girls, it's going to be a huge challenge for our staff to try to put us in the best position that we can possibly be to have success.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate it, and I'll be back a few times this season, and we'll sit down and talk on how this schedule all turns out, and maybe you'll be pulling your hair out at the end here with this tough schedule you got, but then again, you may be looking forward to it, and it may be the kids may surprise you.
Well, it's going to be, things are going to be fine here, whether we win or lose, because I've said this to colleagues, I've said it to the admin here, that from a coaching standpoint, if I've got great kids that are going to listen and buy in and do the things that we're trying to do, if we're bought in, we can lose every game and I'll go home and I'll sleep just fine at night. And I've got kids and families now that are bought in. And as long as we continue with that, we'll get better throughout the course of the season, and we'll be ready come tournament time, and that's what it's all about.
Well, Keegan, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know first game up here, you got Brownsburg coming in here tomorrow night, and I know you're looking forward to that. And then Saturday, you have Danville coming in here, so 2 tough tests,
yeah.
And then you'll go on the road against Noblesville. So
yep.
Wish you the best of luck, and we'll be there to broadcast your game at Noblesville, and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Perry. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
You bet. Thank you.